Hello everyone, welcome to Basic User Interfaces with Java Swing. Uh, so for this presentation we're going to go over very briefly what Java Swing is, what are the components that we are going to cover, and some alternatives to writing the code, and we'll end off with a code along activity. So what is Java Swing? So dating back to 1998, Swing is one of the Java foundational classes. The JFC is a graphical framework for building portable Java-based graphical user interfaces. Instead of being a replacement for abstract window toolkit, which you may know as Java Auth, it was designed to be more of an extension. But unlike Auth, Swing is designed to be lightweight and platform independent. As such, all components are written in Java. The JFC also consists of Java 2D, which I don't know what that is. In 2008, Sun Microsystems, right before they were acquired by Oracle, they designed and released JavaFX, which was supposed to be the successor for both Swing and Auth. But because Swing and Auth is now outdated, they don't teach it in textbooks, and even now, although JavaFX is in textbooks, it's not preferred over anything else because there are web applications with libraries like React and Node.js runtime environment. So the components we're going to cover today is enough to make a bare bones UI. We have a JFrame, which no frame, no window. We have JLabels, which allow you to put small amounts of text on the screen. We have an image icon, which is used in conjunction with a JLabel to start putting graphics on your frame. We have JButtons for users to click, and JTextFields for users to input. So, what's the JFrame? Like as I previously just said, no frame, no window. It's the top level container that provides a window on the screen, and this is where all the components we will create later on are held. If you actually ran that previous line of code, which it was just creating a new frame after importing it, titling it Hello World, nothing would happen, and there's a reason for that. There are some required methods for working with Java Swing, and if you don't have at least a set size and set visible, your program will run, realize that the frame doesn't actually exist, and then immediately terminate. So set size takes two parameters, which are two primitive ints, width and the height of the frame in pixels. Set visible takes a boolean, which is true or false. By default, it is false, so if you don't set visible to true, you will never see your frame. And some other optional methods, we have setLayout, which can take either a layout manager or null. The layout managers that are available on the Java documentation are border layout, box layout, card layout, flow layout, grid bag layout, grid layout, group layout, spring layout. But for this presentation, we will either omit the entire set layout line or set it to null. And set resizable takes a boolean, and it just determines whether or not the user can resize the frame. And one more thing, use of this line, frame.set default close operation to JFrame exit on close is highly recommended, because if you don't, when you close the frame, your program does not terminate and is still running in the background, and we all know Java eats your RAM. So we're going to quickly do a demo as to what happens if you don't have the required methods and what the optional methods might do. Let's see. Okay. So if I run this right now, as I've said before, nothing will happen. It'll run and then immediately terminate. Yep, there it goes. And that's because we didn't set the size or even make it visible. So if I actually make it visible now, something should show up, and it does. But obviously this is not very helpful. It's literally the minimum size required to show the Java icon, the resize, and close the frame. And if I close this frame, the program will not terminate because I don't have set default close operation enabled. So the program is still running and still eating my RAM. So we're going to enable this one such that when the program is closed, well, we're also going to enable the size to be 500 pixels in width and 250 pixels in height, such that now when I create the frame, it actually opens something that I can see, and I titled it Hello World such that it shows up here. And when I close this frame, the program will terminate. I'm not going to get into set layout because I actually have no idea how it works. And then we have set resizable. So if you noticed before, I can just full screen the frame or change whatever I want with it. Now if I set resizable to false, which is generally recommended because Swing applications use pixels and coordinates, so you can put something in a coordinate spot and then it gets completely distorted when someone tries to resize. So now with set resizable false, I cannot resize or full screen the frame. Let's see. So some other important methods before we get into adding other components. These are methods that you'll very likely use for every other component you create. So there's set bounds, and it has 4 parameters that are 4 primitive ints. It is the x and y coordinate of the top left corner, followed by the width and height of the component in pixels. And there is add, which takes a parameter of a component, which is the component you're adding to your frame. If you don't add a component to the frame, it won't show up. Any questions? Because I think I went kind of fast. All right. So the next component we're going to look at is a JLabel. JLabel is one of the many ways to start actually displaying information on your frame. It supports plain text and images using the image icon, which we'll talk more about next. So the text by default is size 11 Tahoma, which I don't know what that font is, but it doesn't look very good. So you can change it using a Java Auth font class. Here, this is the default size 11 Tahoma with Java Swing Workshop, and this one is resized to size 20 in font style Arial bolded. Now, if you remember earlier, I mentioned that Java Swing was more of an extension to Java Auth, and as you can see, many of the methods that we end up using come directly from Auth. Nope, come on. So we have text. Now, what about images? Because what's the point of making a GUI if we can't actually display any real graphics? So to create images or to add images to your frame, you need JLabels and the image icon, which are imported here. You create a new image icon, which accepts the string parameter, which is usually the file name with its extension, case sensitive, or even a path if you have your files in a different folder. You then create the JLabel with the image as the parameter. So the JLabel can accept the parameters of an icon, which is the parent class of an image icon, or just a string, as you see here with Java Swing Workshop. And as also mentioned previously, we are using set bounds and add, so we're setting the bounds here such that the image has the top left corner has an x coordinate of 150, a y coordinate of 5, and this image that I pulled off the internet is exactly 180 by 180 pixels. And then we add it to the frame, and it shows up. So one small warning. A JFrame does not reload every time you dynamically add a new component. By dynamic, I mean later on when we talk about buttons, you can have buttons that add and remove components, but it doesn't reload the frame each time. You have to actually tell it to revalidate and repaint the frame. Otherwise, any changes you make dynamically will not appear. And you would just do that by invoking revalidate and repaint on the frame. Okay, so let's do a demo on JLabel and image icons. Where is it? Okay, so what we're going to do, so this by default is just a frame with Java Swing Workshop as a JLabel. We're going to change the font of that exact text label to Consolis, make it italicized, and set it to 24-point font. So I've already imported java.auth.font it should be in the file. So we're going to create a new font. And it's going to be height. It's going to be Consolis. Let's see, it was font, nope, dot italic. and size 24. And then we're going to set, I probably should have gone over it. We're going to set the font using set font. That's not font. And this, if we run this now, it will not look like the default size 11 Tahoma. Yes, good stuff. So, now, that's just changing the font of a text label. Now we're going to create a new JLabel with an image icon in it. So, again, I've already imported image icon. So we're going to create a new image icon. And the file path, where is it? Is just the default. So I will just put image01.png. And then we're going to create a new JLabel. Oh. With the image icon as the parameter instead of text. And then we're going to set the bounds to, I actually have no idea what coordinates I should use, so let's just guess. Let's see, it's an image, so keep 10 and we'll put it at, I don't know, 100. And this image, if I remember, was size 96 by 79. Okay, now we're going to need to add it to the frame, which is frame.add. Now, because this is after the set visible line, we do have to revalidate the frame. So, revalidate and repaint. An alternative to this would be to just write your set visible line. We'll move it from here and put it as the last line before your as the last line of any method that modifies the frame, such that it will only load the frame once everything else has been added to the frame. But this is pretty impractical for larger programs where you don't have only just like the constructor or one method doing anything for the frame, which is why we have revalidate and repaint. So if I run this, I should expect an image. And we have Oswald. Alright. Moving on. So now we have JButtons, which will add interactivity to your UI. So we have text, we have images. Now let's make it where people can actually do things that change the frame or just, I don't know, just interact with your frame. So a JButton comes from javax.swing.jbutton. We have a frame and a text label that just says Java Swing Workshop. Then we create a JButton with the phrase click me. Whatever phrase you put in the constructor of the JButton is what appears in the button. Set the bounds to an x coordinate of 10, y coordinate of 50, and the size to be 100 pixels wide by 25 pixels high. So if, let's say you have really long text, or like your button name is just really long. If it is too long, it will be abbreviated with 3 dots. So you do have to mess with it a little bit. And then we add it to the frame. So the button doesn't do anything. You can click it, it won't do anything. That's because we don't have an action listener yet. So there are two ways to implement an action listener. One way is to just directly add the action listener class to each button you create. This is good if you don't have a lot of buttons, because every time, if you were doing it this way, every time you create a button, you would have to create a new action listener class, and each action listener class has an action perform method, which takes up a lot of space in the end. And you can have an infinite number of these for every button that you have. So button and another button here are JButton objects, where you add an action listener. The other alternative is to implement the action listener interface. This allows you to create a void method called actionPerforms, the exact same one as here, taking in an action event parameter. But instead of it applying only to the button that it was added to, you can check the source of event to see which button specifically was pressed. So the image on the left has two action listener classes. The image on the right just uses a conditional statement to see which button was pressed. The only downside of the using the action listener interface is that your buttons need to be global variables, as this is a method outside of your constructor. Let's see. All right, so we're going to do a quick demo on how JButtons work. So this is just the regular button before as shown. If I click it, nothing will happen. Doesn't do anything. So now we can make it do something. We're going to make it where it changes the JLabel text and font style from TextLabel. So we need to create a button. I did not switch my OBS, did I? I did not. Whoops. New JButton. And we're just going to name it change text. Nope, I can spell. And then we are going to set the bounds to, where do I want to put it? Let's put it same height. So let's just, what's the width of that one's 100, so 120 and 50. And then we'll make this one, since this text is longer, I'll just put it at 200 and the same height. And then frame dot add. I really just named this button, didn't I? That's very dumb of me. New button. So are you really yelling at me? Cannot be resolved to a variable. Did I spell it? Oh, wait. Alright. So you may or may not always need to revalidate or repaint. It does depend. Usually buttons don't need to be repainted. Yeah, it doesn't need to be repainted. But sometimes images do. That's just because it has to load the image. So again, change text doesn't do anything. But now we're going to add an action listener that changes the text in TextLabel using set text and the font style by creating a Java auth font, which I did not import. Nope. So now we're going to add an action listener to the button. So new button dot add action listener, new action listener. Let's see, public void action performed. Action, nope. So now, if this button is clicked, anything in this body is executed. So we want to change the text to something else. So we can just do text label dot set text. The text was, I've changed the text. But we also want to change the font. So we need to create a new font. Someone suggest me a font. I don't know.
Make Carvajal proud and use the Comic Sans.
I wonder if that'll even work. Comic Sans, let's make it bold because we can. And we'll make it size 36 to make it explode because Comic Sans. So now we do text label dot set font, new font. And this should change the text and the font size from size 11 Tahoma to, or not. Oh no, wait, it did. Just almost crashed. So I've changed the text. Now, this is not Comic. Is this Comic? No, this is not Comic Sans. It probably didn't recognize it. Unfortunate. But now, the next part of this, let's create another button that changes the text and font back to the default size 11 Tahoma. So we're going to create another JButton. Reset equals new JButton. And we'll just call it reset. And then set the bounds. Nope. Let's just kick it to 150. Not 150. We'll leave it. We'll put it right under it. So 100. And we'll do the same size because we can. Alright. Frame. Add the button. So now the button should appear when I run this. But it won't do anything because it does not have an action listener. So now we're going to add the action listener again. And this is why some people might choose to use the implement action listener interface, because now you have to write all of this again. New action listener. Alright, so we want to reset it back, so we can just do text label. We'll actually have to create a new font. Another font. It was size 11 Tahoma. Let's see if this will work. Tahoma font dot plain and 11. And then text label dot set font, another font, and text label dot set text Java Swing Workshop. So if I run this, again, this first button doesn't do anything. We didn't give it an action listener. If I click this, it changes the text to not Comic Sans, because I'm assuming Java just doesn't know what that is. And if I click that's not. Oh, maybe it is bold. Didn't know the default was bold. So that's just changing font plain to font bold. But as you can see, I click this, it changes the text to, it's probably Arial. Bolds in, makes it size 36. I click reset, it goes back to size 11 and the original font Tahoma. Now, just to show that you can do this another way and it works exactly the same, I'm going to implement the action listener interface. And I do need to make my buttons global. Actually, do I actually have to make everything global? That actually sucks. So I need to make JFrame global. And just remove this. And I need text label to be global so I can modify it. And what were the buttons called? So we're just going to take those out so that I can make them global. So new button and reset. Alright, so now we implement the action listener. It yells at me because I don't have the action performed method. So now, let's see. We're just going to comment out these other action listeners so that they don't interfere. We do need those 3 lines. Okay. So it is an override. Void action perform. No, please spell. And it works exactly the same, except this time we're going to check the source. So we can say if event.getSource equals to the JButton object that is titled new button, then we're just going to set the text of the label to, I've changed the text, changed the font. You know what, let's make something that'll actually change. I don't know, maybe it'll recognize impact. So that takes care of new button. But let's say we had the other button, so we can do else if event.getSource equals another, did I name it? I don't know what I named it. Reset. And again, the reset will just change the font, and we will actually correct this to font.bold. So now if I run this, it should do the exact same thing as if I had the other action listeners in place. So by default, change the text, please work. I don't think it likes me. Oh, that's kind of weird. This is supposed to work. Text label. Huh, that's interesting. New button. Well, that's interesting. That is actually supposed to work because that's how I did it in my project. But I guess it doesn't want to work. New button. Text label. Well, that sucks. Did it really not work? Okay, maybe I should have tested this. Not that I think this would actually make a difference, but it might. Alright, well, that didn't go to plan. That was supposed to work. Anyway, I guess moving on. Any questions so far about any of the components we have covered so far? All right. So the last component we're going to cover is a JTextField. So you got static text, images, and interactive buttons. Now, what is one thing that we are missing? And it's users' ability to actually input text to a field. So to create a JText field, you could just create it with a noArg constructor, set the bounds as always, and add it to the frame. And some useful methods associated with JText field would be getText, which returns a string of any text that's currently written in the field, and setText, which allows you to change the current text in the field. And also, like a JLabel, the font style, weight, and size of the uh, text inside the field can be changed the exact same way by creating a Java auth font and setting the font. Alright, we're just going to go quick demo with JTextField, which is here. So we're going to create a JButton that changes the text label here, Java Swing Workshop, to whatever is inside this field. Whatever we write in there, it'll change to that. Alright, I'm not going to use implements ActionListener because it does not want to work. Alright, so we create a new JButton. I hope I didn't already name that something. Change text. Alright, button.set bounds. Hope I can spell. To where are we gonna put it? Somewhere. JText fields at 110, 200, so 400 probably. Yeah, that'll probably work. Same height, 67, and size 75 by 20. And then add it to the frame. Now we add the action listener that actually does the work. Did I do that right? Yeah, I think I did. Yeah. Alright. So we're going to want to read the text from the field using getText. So that would be textfield.getText. And then we want to change the label's text to whatever was in the field. So we can just do, let's see, what is it? Text label dot set text to whatever the field text was. And please tell me this will work. So if it's blank, I'm pretty sure if you click it, okay, that does not look right. 400 is probably too much. All right, 300. And that's not enough. 350, 150, fuck it. Alright, whatever. So if it's blank, it'll, yep, it deletes it completely. So I can change this to IEEE UAlbany, if I can spell. And I'll set it to IEEE UAlbany. I can say Oswald because he's here, but he can't hear because he's deafened. Anyway, that is how JText fields work. There are other things you can do. This is what you would use. Well, it's not specifically. You wouldn't use a JText field for a login. You would use a JPassword field so that, nobody can see the password. But, yeah. Alright. Alright, so some alternatives to writing the code. I'm sure somebody is probably, when they were learning Swing, they said, I don't want to write the code for this because this is a lot. Because if you saw me just messing with the coordinates and the sizes, it is a lot of trial and error just to get it to look right. So, like website builders out there, there are also builders for Swing UIs. Two of them that I found just from a simple Google search, we have JForm Designer, and we have Window Builder. And Window Builder is currently maintained by the Eclipse community. Do I know how any of these work? No, because I didn't even know they existed until like a week ago. I thought you had to actually write all the Swing code by hand, but apparently this is a thing. So now we're pretty much almost at the end of the workshop. We're going to do a quick code along activity where you can code your own UI. So we're going to create a number pad using 9 JButtons, consisting of the numbers 1 to 9, that edit a JText field with the numbers pressed by the user. So if I press 123, 123 will appear in the JText field, and it'll keep appending until either it runs out of space or I don't know what happens if it runs out of space. There will also be a reset button such that it'll just empty the JText field. So you can code along in numberpad.java, which has imported, I believe, everything that you would need, and probably more. So we're going to just do this. So I literally put nothing here, so we're going to start completely from scratch. Let's see. I could try. Yeah, let's not. I was going to try implement ActionListener again, but it didn't want to work once, so I'm not going to. But this would be a good example as to why you would want to use implement ActionListener as opposed to where is it? Creating multiple .add action listeners to new action listener class. This is very long compared to this. If you have multiple buttons, you would want to do this. I probably just did something wrong. Anyway, so we're gonna create. They don't need to be public. They could be local. So we're gonna create a new JFrame. We'll name it numberpad. If I can spell. We're going to set the size to, let's just do 750 by 500, because I don't know how much space we'll need. What else did we need? I actually do not remember. Set resizable, false, and set visible. So in this case, set resizable shouldn't matter because the buttons usually would adjust, but sometimes they don't. So we're just going to set resizable to false so that you can't do anything to it. And numberpad set visibility or set visible true so that it actually shows up. So now if I run this, I should just get a blank frame titled numberpad. Yep. Now we're going to add a well, just for fun, we're going to put an image on it just because we can. So we're going to make a JLabel header image. Actually, we should we'll just leave that. Forgot to create the image icon. And we're just going to reuse the Oswald which is image 01 PNG. And then stick this header. Am I doing something wrong? Oh wait, I forgot new header icon. And we're going to set the bounds to let's see, what's half of 750? I have no idea. Whatever. That's not even how you do this. Whatever. 425. We'll just move it off the top by 10. And this was a 96 by 79 image. And then add it to the frame. In this case, the frame is named numberpad. Add header image. And then at the bottom, we're just going to put numberpad.revalidate and numberpad.repaint. Alright, so if I run this, I should have a header image of, oh, I didn't terminate, Alright, that works. That's actually way too far, that's not where I thought it was going to end up, but okay. Wait, that's 10? Okay, that's interesting. And you didn't close the other one. Why are you like this? Am I doing something wrong? Why is it not moving? 425, 1. Alright, whatever. Alright, now we're going to add the 9 JButtons with values 1 through 9. So this one's going to be a lot of probably copy and paste. So we're going to create 9 JButtons. JButton, let's see. Num1 button, and I'm just gonna, nope. Num2, 3, 7. Nope. And 9. And we're also going to create the clear button. And then now we actually have to initialize them as actual buttons. Num1 button equals new JButton 1. 7, 8, 9, and clear. And then we're just gonna initialize all these buttons so that they actually exist. And clear. And then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 9. And clear. Did I lose anyone yet? Maybe. I'll take that as a no. So, now we have the buttons. We have to add them to the frame, otherwise they don't exist. So we're going to, let's see. Let's set bounds. Well, actually, I set the bounds before you add to the frame. Let's put them, how much space did I allocate? 750 by 500. So let's just keep all the buttons close to the side because we can. So X, I don't know, 10. And the height, we'll just start it at, I don't know, 50. It might explode. And since it's only a one character, or for the name of the button is really short, it doesn't need to be, but we're going to try to make it a square, so maybe 25 by 25. And just for testing purposes, we're going to stick this on the frame first to see what it looks like. Nope, that's not how you spell number. Okay, am I doing, what the hell am I doing? That does not look right. Did I forget to do something? Oh, I definitely forgot this line. That explains why the program is not terminating when I closed it. Good stuff. I don't think set layout would change. That's not right. That is also not how you spell. I don't think set layout would actually affect this, would it? What are the chances? Alright, terminate. Stop. Alright, cool. Oh my god, it actually does affect it. That's impressive. Okay, I retract what I said about omitting set layout because I'm pretty sure if you omit set layout, it likes to do dumb things. Yeah. Yeah. And I think I just realized that OBS does not record any of the swing windows. Oh, that's a problem. Damn it. Can I just make this record my screen for the rest of the time? Alright. So, yeah, you do need set layout null, otherwise, big problems. Alright, so 25 by 25 is too small, and this is not low enough. Needs to be at least 79 down, so let's put it at 80. And make that 400, and 25 25 too small, so let's do 50 50. I did not terminate the other one. Alright, go away. Cool, we have a 1. And we'll just do the same for all the other buttons. Except we're going to change the X and Y coordinates, otherwise they're all the same. Set bounds, let's see, what needs to change? X by 55 probably. So, Yeah, 65 and 50, and I'll make them 50, 50. And we'll add num2 button. Alright. I probably should have designed something that was less annoying to do. Set bounds. Alright, we're gonna do 55 after that, so 120, 50, 50, 50. Nope. Alright, number pad.add, num3 button. Alright. Let's see. Num4 button, set bounds. Alright, so we're going to just do a 3x3 grid of buttons. So now we've had the first three, we're going to just move it down by 55. So the new y coordinate will be 105, but the x coordinates will stay the same. 105, 50, 50. And number pad.add, num4 button. Five, 105, 50, 50. Alright, num6. No, wait, set bounds. Let's see, 120, 105, 50, 50. And that's the second row of buttons. Num6 button. Alright, moving to 7, we're going to again change the y coordinate by an increase of 55. So that their buttons are exactly far enough apart, but not too far or too little apart. So num7 button dot set bounds. Reuse the x coordinates 10. Make this, what is it supposed to be, 160? Yeah. 50, 50. Num7 button. Alright. 8. No. No, 65. 160, 50, 50. Nope, not 500. That would be terrible. $65. No, not 65. 120. 160, 50, and 50. And then add the 9th button to the frame, and then we gotta add the clear button. Alright, so we do clear dot set, no, dot set bounds. We'll just keep it at the same x coordinate, put it at 100 more because we'll move it down to 260. And it probably needs to be 100 by 50. And then number pad.add clear. So that should add all 10 buttons that we created, such that if I run this now, yeah, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and the clear button perfectly aligned in our nice grid. So now we're going to add the actual JText field, such that when they click a button, oh, I'd have to add ActionListeners to all this. That's pain. Anyway, we're going to add the JText field. Well, we'll create a JLabel that denotes the JText field. So, field label. Wait, that's not right. You clicked. And we'll put it right next to the clear button, which would be, let's see, so label dot set bounds, change the x coordinate by 115. Okay, so 125. keep it 260, and this is a label, so 100 by, whatever, this should work. And then number pad dot add the label. Right, perfect. And now we're going to create the JText field right next to it. New JText field. Alright, field set bounds. Let's see. That was 100, so 230, 260, and we'll just make it 200. Do I have, whatever, 200 by 50. And then add the text field to the frame. So now I should have all the buttons, and okay, that's a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be, but that'll work. So text does work in here. So now we just need to add action listeners to all the buttons such that when you click it, the number will appear. So if I click 1, I should see a 1 here, and for every other number, it will append to whatever already exists. This is also what you would probably use if you were trying to create a simple calculator. And if you click clear, this should be non-existent. So now more sort of copy and paste because I couldn't get implements action listener to work, so we're going to do it manually. Num1 button, add action listener, new action listener, public. Alright, and this button will access the field. So let's see, so probably could just combine it. So let's see, field.set text to field.get text. So if there's already existing text, get it, and append a 1 to it. So let's see, this should already work actually if I run this. Yep. Clear doesn't do anything because I didn't set it up. But I'm just going to duplicate this for like the first 3 buttons because I don't feel like doing all 9 of them. Actually, well, it's just copy and paste. I could do all 9 of them. Why not? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's a lot. Five. Appends a 5. 6, 7. And then we gotta also implement the clear button. So clear.addActionListener. Actually, I'm just gonna paste because I'm lazy. We'll just change this object to clear. And instead of field.getText, we would just set it to an empty string. So if we run this, we have 9 buttons with a clear button. You click 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Clear destroys it all. Okay, so it's not like spam clicking. And destroys it all. And if technically, if you type anything here, it'll just append whatever to it as well. So that is pretty much the entire goal of the coding activity. If you coded along, cool. If you want to show it off, please do. But otherwise, that's pretty much a wrap of this entire presentation on Java Swing. I hope you learned how to use Swing, even though you may never use it because it's just so old. But it's still cool. So I'll stick around for questions. If there are none, then we are done here.